we go. Maybin's back. Let's have a day. It's Cam, it's Kratz, it's Scotty Braun. Also, by the way, Cam, you are quite the hype man. So if anyone wants to give our Foul Territory Instagram account a little follow if you haven't already, Cam gave us a little preview of the show today, and it was quite fire. This is not your first go-round, is it?
I just woke up with a lot of energy today, man. You know, it's a lot of excitement going on, coming down the stretch. Emotions are high. Things are getting tense. So, I woke up with a lot of good energy today.
You see his shirt, Kratz?
I do see his shirt.
Crassies, it's some guys out there that need some hugs after last night.
Good call.
It's some tense baseball right now.
You're right. There was a lot of beef last night.
A lot of beef. I would have been given last night, guys would have been coming in the clubhouse, Kratzy, and I'd have been going, come on. Just deep breath, bring it in, deep breath. Woosah.
If you're listening to the pod later on, Cameron Maybin is wearing a Free Hugs t-shirt featuring Chucky. It's good.
Everybody needs a hug. Everybody needs a hug. Man.
Yeah. I loved Chucky movies when I was a kid. Anyway, let's charge the damn mound. First, we'll go over his signing, and then we'll get to the beef.
Charging the mound.
He's back. Hector
Neris. Scotty, hang on. If we're going to bring out, like, free hugs and stuff, and we're going to not charge the mound with some, like, extraness this morning, Cam woke up with some energy. Can we just go straight to the reason we have energy this morning? I don't know if we can, but this is me, Scotty, and Cam at Brooklyn Mirage getting hyped. This is why Cam has absolute ridiculous energy this morning, because we were at Brooklyn Mirage together.
Kratz got a stage pass?
Come on. That's all I do. That's all I do.
It's a celebration.
I hang around Cam, especially bearded Cam. Happy birthday, Scotty.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Raven, it's a party. It's a celebration, man. Let's go.
I efforted to get us, at a club for the show. I think it would be a little too loud. I don't think anyone would hear us. We would definitely get 1-star reviews on the podcast. They'd be like, I can't hear. It sounds like music in the background. And I did hear an ad 23 minutes in. And even though I understand ads because the content's free, I still don't like them. Anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you.
It says a lot about a guy. Listen, this doesn't work for us, but it says a lot about a guy working on his birthday, Kratzy. I'm just saying.
That's
putting in work on his birthday.
Scotty's a grinder, and I can't compliment somebody any better. I love to give Scotty hugs, but he's not a big hugger, so I'll call him a grinder, and that should suffice.
Thank you. I'm a medium hugger, and you know what? I agree. I think I do about a week-ish off per year, right, of shows, and Alana Rizzo stars when that happens. But I did give myself a half day off. I'm a DH day. You know why, Cam?
Talk to us.
So I don't have to do the billion-hour drive to the undisclosed Pennsylvania location today. We did log some serious Braun and Kratz hours over the last few days, and I cherish it, and the shows are fantastic when I get to sit next to my friends. But I took the day off from beating up the old car.
And my basement still smells delicious from Scotty being down here. So.
Oh, there you go. Work smarter, not harder. I like it.
Exactly. Yep. 2 showers a day. Anyway, let's get to Hector Neris signing with the Houston Astros. So he signed in the offseason for $9 million with the Chicago Cubs. And Cam, I know some Astros fans liked having him there, and he's had an up and down season, but now they get him back.
Yeah, I love this move, and I love what they're doing right now as they are surging. And if you look at this bullpen, and I know Kratzy appreciate it, I think they've been somewhat of the unsung heroes for this Astros team. And I think adding a guy that you're familiar with, they know his repertoire. I think they know how to get him back in the zone, get him back being effective like he is. And I don't think you can ever have enough depth going down the stretch, going into September. And now here they are, leaders in their division. Why not go add an arm that you're familiar with? And I know they feel like they can get him back on track. They have a very good blueprint. You look at what they've been doing. So I love this pickup. I love this move.
And he just gets to just slot right into a bullpen where he's not going to need to be that ninth inning guy. He might give you a couple eighth innings here and there, depending on the matchup. His walk rate is up, which it was up last year, and it's actually up higher, one walk per nine more than it was last year, which was a career high for him, I think, second most. So that is a fear, but that is also what makes him effective. If there is three bases open, Hector Neris is not giving in. And then when he does walk the bases loaded or he gets the bases loaded, he's still not giving in. And that splitter forkball always plays. So good for the Astros for having the worst record of teams that need somebody, and good for Hector Neris. Hopefully he still has his place in Houston where he can stay.
I'd like to just point something out, guys. So the Astros look like, what, a top 3 team in baseball right now? I mean, they have been since the bad start. They started out 12-24. Can you make a case that they're being rewarded in this case for their poor start? I get it. You'd rather win games. And I don't know if anyone expected the Mariners to be 500 at this point and the Rangers to not be in the playoff mix. But the Astros starting 12-24 helps them get Hector Neris, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And like Kratzy said, and like I said previously, I think the Astros feel like we can get him back in the zone. Kratzy said it, he's a guy that has never given in, but what he did a good job of prior to was getting ahead so he can get to that nasty stuff. So I think they feel like they can do that. And I think this is a big pickup, man, because their bullpen has been nasty.
Huge pickup.
Yeah. Josh Hader is insane. I loved the signing. I know it was expensive, but you signed that guy for the playoffs too. Obviously, regular season, great, and he's helped them win a lot of tight games that they've needed to win after the slow start, and now they're cruising. But this is big. Okay, let's get to the Rays. So this is the first set of beef, and obviously there's others. There's a little in that Dodger game. We'll talk to Max Muncy about it later. We'll cover Jesse Winker's antics a little bit later too. But let's start with Kevin Cash booted in the top of the 7th inning, arguing with umpires. And then eventually Jose Caballero and Yandy Diaz, your boy Kratz, getting into it. I think the tail of the tape there would be a little bit favorable towards Yandy biceps. Your thoughts?
I mean, I think if Caballero doesn't get hit like he did here on the arm as we're watching the video by one of Yandy's absolute Mondo C243 biceps that he has, he'd be fine. But man, you catch one blow from Yandy and you're going down. Watching this video of Caballero sticking his elbow out and Kevin Cash coming out, the manager getting thrown out, arguing, telling him that his flowers were shutting the front door. I don't see how. Obviously, he didn't see it from the other angle. I don't know what Cash said after the game, but Caballero, I think the umpire made the right call here. Caballero cannot stick his elbow at that drastically and expect to always get the hit by pitch here, always get first base. So, my opinion, good call by the umpire. Good session by Cash, though, getting tossed.
A really nice session by Cash, and I agree with you, man. Usually, a backup breaking ball, I would say it's okay, but it was clear, it was obvious. I think Cash trying to have his guys back right there, but the umpires have taken a lot of flack this year. That wasn't a play I think they missed. I think Caballero knew what he was doing right there, and again, that's his game. He's trying to get on base, but I think it was pretty clear and obvious what he did. But again, as far as him and Yandy in the dugout, you talk about those biceps. But at the end of the day, I just don't want Yandy to get around me and get one of those things around you, because it's going to be a quick night, a little sleeper hole for you. But, Yandy, he seems like a really good guy. He seems like it was more so like, nah, let me have a very intense conversation with this kid real quick, but, tempers flare, the season's become long. Tampa Bay is in a spot that they haven't been in years. Here they are in Oakland. They're still trying to play good baseball. So this is a part of being, a long season around a lot of guys. Things like this happen.
All right, Cam, if we go to the next play, Kratz getting thrown out here. Like, this is, I want your opinion because you're a base runner. I've ran the bases, but you're a base runner. Was Andujar in the right or the wrong here?
Yeah, I watched this play like 20 to 30 times, between last night and this morning. And as a base runner, to be honest, and Laz Diaz has made some atrocious calls this year. But you know what, Kratzy? I have to be honest with myself. We all know the rule, right? If you make that move towards the infield, you make that left turn, we all know. And I think this too, if you go back and watch that play, Miguel Andujar knew he messed up, because if he didn't know he messed up, he wouldn't have tried to beat Yandy to the bag. So I think right there, it lets you know right here, you're watching this play, watch this. Oh, snap. I turned the wrong way. I got to get back. He knew he messed up. So I think the call was right. Like I said, I think it's just high. It's just high intensity right now. The Rays are playing probably the worst brand of baseball they played in years. Kotsay is doing an amazing job trying to teach a young group of men how to be professionals, how to compete on a nightly basis. I just think tempers were extremely high. I think emotions were extremely high. But I think the calls were correct on both ends when you talk about, at the plate and at first base. What do you think? You tell me.
Before I get to the call was correct or not, I think you are incorrect on the actual ruling. You can actually walk. You can turn left. There is not a rule in the rule book that says you can't turn left. The rule is you cannot make an intent. You cannot have intent to go to second base. And in my opinion, until he picked up his helmet and started rushing back to first, all that he did not show me any intent that he was going to second base. So in my opinion, I think they got this wrong. I think Kotsay. So
let me ask you this, though.
Right.
And I love that. But let me ask you this. Then why would he not? See, if it was me, if I didn't have intent, I would have picked up my helmet and I would have casually walked back to the bag as if I didn't have any intent on going. That's how I would have played it off. To me, his body language put him in a situation that made him look like, oh, I was in the wrong. So I think it was easier for him to make that call is what I'm saying. I agree with you, but I think, again, if you watch the play, and even in Miguel Andujar's head, he thought he messed up. So I get the rule, but I'm just going off of how I watched the play, how it unfolded. Again, that's why I think the call was made. I agree with you. I do know the rule. I said it before you said it. Intent. I get it. But it was almost like you indicted yourself by trying to beat him back to the bag. If it was me, pick your helmet up and walk back to the bag. Like, nah, it was a single. I was saying, what are we doing here? Like that, he should have played it off a little bit more, Kratzy.
So as the kids say, Andujar was more chalant, and you would have taken it more nonchalant. That's how you would
nonchalant.
You would have been doing. Andujar was doing too much. You wouldn't have been stressing.
Exactly. Pick your helmet up, man. Pick your helmet up. Where am I going? What are you talking about? I'm picking my helmet up. It came off. I felt it go over my left shoulder. I got to turn back around to get it. You know what I mean? So I would have went about it a little bit differently, but I get it. We agree to disagree here.
Can we just real quick, and it's my birthday, so you have to do whatever I say. Can we just show Yandy in the dugout, and then we'll break? We won't even talk about it. We already hit it a little bit. I just want to show it for the peeps. Just give me a quick comment. It's okay?
It's good. I love this. I don't know, Cam. Like I need. If you have a dispute that you're that man that Yandy's going to get them biceps flexing, and you need 3 people to push him back. Hey, say it. If you hold it in, it's only going to get worse later.
I love it. Absolutely. We just happen to see it publicly. I love it. Got to talk about it. Hey, brothers fight.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all good. I mean, it's a reality show. You're playing together every day for freaking days, months, most of the year. It's going to happen. So some of this, most of this happens behind the scenes, right? But sometimes it happens in the dugout, and the Rays still care despite not really being in it. Last word.
The Rays still care, and when the Latins fight against each other, there's some fast words getting put out there.
And Kratz is sitting there like with the Babbel app being like, yes, okay, got it.
Papi, tranquilo, suave. Eso está bien, it's okay.
I love it. All right, so quick step aside. Max Muncy in the green room. Excited to see him back in the mix for the Dodgers the last few days. We'll talk to Funky Muncy next. Bonus 2 minutes for the YouTube crowd. And guess what we're going to do?
Kratz. Give you a birthday present.
You are. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Give me a verbal birthday present.
Elly De La Cruz is one of 3 guys to be a 2060 guy, but yesterday he got his fifth player. I'm sorry, I thought it was 3. He got his 60th bag for Scott's birthday.
Wow. Amazing.
That's fine.
I just want to continue to appreciate the uniqueness of a player like this and how much he brings to the table and how fun he is to watch. I just think that there are special ball players that you go to the ballpark to watch, or you make sure you turn on the TV, or even if it's a team like the Reds that are not really in it anymore, I'm still interested in seeing what he's doing because he can single-handedly win a game. And Cam, I mean, you look at that dude and in stature, you're like, holy crap, this guy's huge. And he's got big pop, but then you're like, wait, he's also a top 3 speedster in the game. It's wild. I mean, right now he's number 1 in stolen bags easy.
It's crazy. Like, I really used to think I was a like an exceptional athlete, and then guys like this come along, and you're just like, nah, like wasn't close. It's incredible, man. Like you said, he's so much fun to watch. He's showtime, and I think what I love the most about him is anytime he's on a big stage, he shows up and shows out. So he is built for the moment. I think he's only getting better. And the crazy thing is, we're seeing his floor. This is Elly De La Cruz's floor. That's scary. That's incredible. So happy birthday, bud. That's what we're talking about on your birthday.
I'm a big fan. I have been since day one.
He didn't really steal that base.
Would you agree, Kratzy? Like, we could say this is this kid's floor right now.
Easy. That's what I was trying to say. Like, he didn't really steal that base. Second, you kind of like momentum off. He was just like, oh, third is open. I'll go. It was
crazy. I saw a stat. I heard a stat, right? He's leading shortstop in errors, but he's also like the best when you talk about defensive run, like WAR. So it's like
range.
Like, this is the floor. Like, it's crazy. Like
6'6" range.
Watching this, it's crazy.
It's got lateral quickness, the whole deal. You're right, and
he's only getting better.
He is only getting better. Look at his at bats this year versus last year. Huge improvement. And the strikeouts are an issue, but I do think that his plate discipline and his approach has been noticeably better this year. So
Kratzy,
you're right.
You know what I wish, and we're going to get to it. God, I wish he could have had a year of Joey Votto in his ear.
Mm-hmm. Good call.
Just in his ear, just from a hitting standpoint.
Here we go. Max Muncy is back. We got to get a smile because now he's back on the field too. And first off, we appreciate having you on during the rehab process. I think it's important for fans and for young players to understand that you're still a human. You're going through it, and now you're back. So first off, congrats, Max. Welcome back to the field. Off to a booming start again. How does it feel to be back on the field with the Dodgers and have a little success personally and with the team right off the jump?
Yeah, it feels amazing. It was a long couple months for me, especially when you're not really sure exactly what your timetable is, when you might be back, when you're going to be healed. And so to finally be able to get back on the field felt amazing. Not the easiest challenge with that pitching staff the Mariners are rolling out, but had some success, and so it was fun. And it was just fun to get the series sweep for the boys out there.
Max, I have so many questions for you, man. I just congratulations first off on everything you've accomplished, man. It was good to see you back in that lineup. I don't think people realize your presence is really missed when you just talk about the quality of at-bats that you bring. But I want to go back to you talking about this injury, man. Doing my research, reading up, following along. Was it oblique? Was it the rib? Like, how frustrating was it at first not really knowing what you were dealing with? And then once you did find out, how did that ease your mind and get you back, in the flow of things?
Yeah, well, so there was an oblique strain, but it was a very mild one. And I've had a couple of oblique strains in the past, and none of them have ever really been longer than 10, 12 days. And so we weren't too worried about it, but after 4 or 5 days, started to kind of do a rehab process. Felt great, and then there's a setback in there. We let a couple weeks go by. We do the same thing. There's another setback. We let a couple weeks go by. There's another setback, and we're trying to the whole time we're trying to figure out exactly what's going on because I've been getting multiple scans. Nothing's popping up. Everything looks good. We initially had a thought that I had a bottom rib issue because that's sometimes what can cause the oblique problems. And, so I went and got some bone scans, got a bunch of scans on my back, trying to just see anything that was going on. And, we couldn't quite get a pulse on it. And, the whole time I was getting adjusted by, some chiropractors and the trainers, and, that wasn't fixing anything. And then, we eventually figured out it was the bottom rib. The oblique was healed, but it was the bottom rib that was causing a lot of problems. So, I'd have 2-3 good days of swinging. And then, after that third or fourth day, I'd wake up and it felt like it was day one of injury. And so we were just starting back over, and we're repeating that process multiple times. And it's frustrating, but, Keith Pine, who's kind of a consultant for us, is also a chiropractor. He was finally able to realize, even though I was getting adjusted, we weren't ever setting the bottom rib back properly, and that's what was causing all the issues. And so finally we got that, and it was extremely painful. And the next day I got an injection right after that. And 2 days later I woke up and it was like I was never even hurt. So it was almost just gone instantly.
That's what I want to talk about specifically. Anybody, I don't know if Cam's ever had one, but non-baseball players might be able to react to this. But as a baseball player, having a rib out of place, what did that feel like when they got it back into place? Because a chiropractor did it to me. I was fortunate I never had any oblique injuries. But what did that feel like when they got it back in?
Extreme pain, but also extreme relief at the same time. Yeah, it was not very fun, but as soon as it happened, like my hips instantly unlocked, everything felt free, and it was kind of like, oh, we're definitely onto something here. It was a lot of pain, and then the next day, like I said, I got an injection, which that really sucked. It's a really big needle. It's not a lot of fun. So for a day or two, really sore, and then woke up and everything kind of took place and felt great.
Okay, so here we are. You're back. I'm glad you're back. I know your teammates are extremely happy you're back. But one thing that I was always impressed with, you talk about having to come back and face that type of staff. What are some of the things that you did prior to keep yourself so close to game ready, right? People don't know how easy it is to get rusty just off a few days off. But, you miss a month, a couple months. Talk about your routine just for a second to keep yourself mentally as close and as ready as you can to come back to be ready to face a staff like that.
Yeah. So I did a lot of standing in on bullpens, which, that doesn't do a lot for your timing, but just being able to see the movement on pitches, see the velocity on pitches, that really helps out. I stood in on Walker and Bobby Miller and Gavin Stone, was standing in on those guys all the time, and also trying to give my feedback to them on, what I'm seeing on their pitches and just try to help them out. And just did a lot of that throughout the whole time I was hurt. And then also standing, we have one of those traject pitching machines that mimics the motion and the pitches, and it's pretty accurate. It's really, really close to how a pitcher actually throws. So I stood in a bunch on that, just tracking pitches, trying to get any type of timing I could. And nothing simulates actually swinging against a fastball or a breaking ball, but try to do as much as I can to stay close.
What'd you see in the Arozarena Flaherty scuffle / war of words?
Nothing. It was what it was. Randy thought we hit him on purpose. He just hit a foul home run. It's easy to see how you can think that wasn't the case for us. He hit a slider out over. So logically, and you would know this as a catcher, the next pitch you're going to throw is you're going to try to bust him inside. We happened to go a little bit too far inside, and that's really all it was.
I got a question for you on this past series, and everyone tries their best, and it is super difficult to judge every call in real time. But the replay review center from a couple days ago had me reconsidering what I know about baseball. And I will say this, Max, you'll like how social media reacted. It was one of the few times that you can unite all baseball fans together. Mariners fans, Dodger fans, they all were like, wait, Dylan Moore was picked off first. But then, an hour later, they're like, wait, actually, Rivas is out at home. And everyone agreed. Did you guys feel the same way and wonder what was going on? Because it took a while, too.
When we're on the field, they only show one or two camera angles. And depending on where you're at, if we're at Dodger Stadium, they're usually only going to show the replay of the views that look good for us. And if we're on the road, they're only going to show the replays of the views that look good for them. It's part of the people operating the stadium. So we never fully know if we're seeing every single angle that the umpires are seeing when they're in the review room. But in that case, the other night, it definitely felt like something was off. But it kind of worked out both ways. But it was definitely unique. I've always thought for us, with being on the West Coast, sometimes those guys are half asleep when they get the call over there in New York. They got to quick get some coffee in them, try to figure out what's going on.
That's how everyone felt. Everyone's like, yo, there's still one game going on, and it's a big one. We need you guys to pay attention and work a little bit quicker. Because obviously, and I did preface this, the replay review is much quicker than when it first started. I'm sure you remember going years back, or at least even just going 5-6 years back and what it is now. They usually get it done pretty quickly, but I don't know. That one was a head scratcher for me. I want to change gears. Joey Votto announced his retirement yesterday. Do you have an extra appreciation for Joey and what he was able to do? Obviously, not just as a player overall, but in the way that, I don't want to say he changed the game, but I'll get your take on how incredible he was with his approach at all times, not biting at pitches outside the zone, and maybe even shifting the way that some hitters think. Obviously, you've got an incredible eye. So what do you think of Joey as a player?
I think Joey was kind of one of those hybrid players that ushered in the new era that we're in right now. He was a traditional first baseman in terms of he had a lot of doubles, a lot of slug, a lot of homers, drove in a lot of runs, but he was also part of the new age that, on base percentage really mattered. And, he was the king at that. He was constantly right at the 400 on base mark, over the 400 on base mark, which is really incredible. And, that's kind of where things are at nowadays, where people care more about on base than really your average, but he did all of it. And he was kind of one of the guys that helped usher in the new era of baseball. And Joey was always he was always good to me, but it was always interesting conversations when you talk to him at first base. You never know exactly what you were going to get. You could probably flip a coin and still not land on something that he was going to talk about. I think I just got a little connection cut out there.
There was a little. Just go again, Kratz. It was just a little hiccup.
Okay,
go ahead.
You have any good Joey Votto stories from first base or BP, anything like that you had interaction with him?
I won't get too much into it. It's tough because I don't like to talk about what people talk about out there. It's it's between us. But there was one time where I got on first and Joey's talking to me and he's like, "Hey man, where are you from?" I was like, "I'm from Texas, Dallas Fort Worth area." It's like, "Oh man, that's pretty cool." And 2 pitches go by and he looks at me. He's like, "Hey, so like, are you big like jeans and boots guy? Like, is that what you like to rock?" And I was kind of like, "Well, I got them in the closet. I wouldn't say I wear them every day, but they're definitely in the closet." He's like, "Oh man, that's sweet. Yeah, you got to rock those all the time." It just kind of like a interesting conversation that had nothing to do with baseball, and he kind of loved to do that.
That is so Joey. Just like random stories that you're like, I'm not sure if he's going to ask me about my approach or jeans and boots. Do you think people will be like, okay, well, Max Muncy, he's got a great eye, and his batting average isn't as high, but Joey doesn't hit as many home runs as Max Muncy. Do you think a guy like Joey Votto, because this was kind of a knock if you listen to Cincinnati, media, Cincinnati broadcasters, hey, we need Joey to expand the zone a little bit to hit more homers and to drive more runs in. Do you think not saying his skill, he couldn't have done it. Do you think that would have taken away from his legacy, his career, his successfulness?
I don't know. It's a tough question. I don't think it would take it away from him, but that is what made Joey Votto was the fact that he just had an unbelievable eye. He got on base all the time. He didn't expand the zone, and that's what made him so tough. And there's always a lot of conversation, at least for me, when you look at guys like that if they expand the zone, then all of a sudden they're chasing pitches and they're not doing what they do best, and that also takes away from the guys around them, and it doesn't allow them to do what they do best. And that's something that I've always said about me is that, I'm going to strike out. I'm going to get out a lot. I know my average isn't always high, but I'm up there and I'm averaging 5-6 pitches in a bat. That's a lot of pitches that a guy has to throw to me, and it allows the guys around me to not have to worry about, we need to work on getting his pitch count up, so I have to purposely take a pitch. Like, that's why I'm there. And I feel like that was something that, for a lot of those teams when Votto was younger, that was something that helped out a lot with them too, is he's up there taking pitches, but he's also going to do damage. And that allows the people around him, whether it was a Brandon Phillips or a Jay Bruce or, all of those guys to just kind of be themselves also.
Listen, this is a great way for me to end this and ask this question, because I think you are spot on. I call those team at-bats, and those go a long way, especially going down the stretch. And I feel like not having you in the mix there for a second, I feel like guys kind of got out of who they were a little bit, and I think that's where you were missed. Just tell me this, going down the stretch, simple question. What do the Dodgers need to do other than getting healthy to go out here and win the World Series this year?
Well, man, you did nail it with just getting healthy. We got some pitchers banged up. We still got a couple position players banged up. It's just, getting healthy is obviously the first point, but staying within ourselves and not trying to do too much. Just play our game. Don't try to play anyone else's game. We got a tight division race. We can't focus on, what the other teams are doing. And if we do that, if we start, scoreboard watching, then you start hitting the panic button. You start making decisions that aren't the correct ones for us. And, I think that's just, as a team, we can't hit the panic button as a team. We can't change our approach. We can't change our at-bats. We can't change our game plan on the pitching side. We just got to go out there and be ourselves and know that with everyone coming back and us getting a deeper lineup and getting some more options on the pitching side, everything's just going to work out how we need it to work out.
It's great to see you back, dude. Appreciate you swinging right by a few days into your return. I'm glad that you're healthy and thriving right off the jump. Congrats on the sweep. Looks like Kratz is telling me he needs to say something before you go. Yes.
Let's go.
Right when you came off the IL, first game, did you get that hair did? Did you get shaped up? Or were you like, no, I'm coming out of the – be honest.
I mean, as you can see, I still got it coming down here. I said I was going to shave as soon as I got healthy. That was kind of a thing that I was just going to let it grow until I got healthy because, my wife's not a huge fan of the beard getting too long. She likes the beard. She doesn't like it being long. So it's kind of hey, this is almost a more incentive to try to get healthy and get back. But I don't know. I just kind of rolled with it, and now it's working. So now we got to go playoff beard. We got to get it ready for that.
Yep.
Exactly. I was going to say, now you get too close to October, then you're just not allowed to shave it. So at this point,
then it's a bad look.
All right. Well, we'll check in. We'll have you on at least once before we get to playoff time. So we'll see where we're at that point. But Max, thanks again, man. Good luck in the upcoming series. All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Max Muncy with us from the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's back. We'll be right back. Pop quiz. America's #1 meal kit is, anyone can say it, whoever's got it first.
HelloFresh.
Good job. There you go. You want to eat good, but you don't want to deal with the grocery store? We've got the answer for you. In fact, I did go out to eat yesterday, Kratz, but I got a lot going on today. So a little HelloFresh box just got delivered before the show. Yep.
Just a little planning ahead. Just a little planning ahead.
What a birthday already.
Yeah.
I mean, this day's going great for you already.
We got some steak. We got a pretty good setup coming in. I don't want to say exactly what the meal is because I'm going to butcher the name, but it it looks good. Okay, I got all the ingredients ready to go. We're going to cook it up here at home. If you're a picky eater, all good. There's so many choices. There's a menu that changes every week that has 50 recipes. So good luck if you think that you're not going to find something for you. You're going to find something for you, right? And you can customize. Like, let's say you're vegan or gluten-free, whatever it is, you'll be able to find what you need. They easily list, the allergy options on there for you too, customized to fit your taste. There's protein and veggie swap options. So you get the delivery day you want. You open up your box, you cook, you eat. And for a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/FTKids to unlock this exclusive offer. 1 free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by heading over to HelloFresh.com/FTKids. Pop quiz again. Same question. HelloFresh is what, Cam?
America's number one meal kit.
Boom. There you go. There you go. Be right back. FT
You know.
I was looking forward to this segment more than any other today. It's Hot Corner. It should be worth the wait. So I want to do a live quick mic check and make sure we hear Cam good because I want to make sure we get the high level answers. Give me a line first, Cam, on how excited you are for Hot Corner and which topic you would like to hit first, Joey Votto or Jesse Winker.
Well, you know what? I'm extremely excited. I think we need to save the best for last. And I think that will be the Joey Votto retirement, right? I think we should get into a little Winker madness.
Let's do it. Okay, and you sound great. So let's do it. Let's show Jesse Winker's emphatic walk-off home run for the New York Mets over the Baltimore Orioles. You're taking on one of the top teams in baseball. Mets are fighting for their playoff lives. Winker gets traded over to this team from the Nationals, hadn't hit a homer yet, steps up in a big spot, right, and gets it done after the Mets had let the Orioles come back into that game. Now, that's all awesome. I love that. Okay. And we can show the homer too when we get a chance. But do we have any issues with past precedent and Jesse and the Nationals having a problem with Jerks and Profar doing a similar dance in the past? Here it is. I mean, I love that. Imagine if you're right there or anywhere in that ballpark and you see the pure passion and the celebration. Cam?
Yo, that was crazy. I know the Mets fans appreciated it. And let's be honest, right? We know coming into this whole trade, there's some history with Jesse Winker and Mets fans, right? So he's waiting on that moment to endear himself to that fan base. Now, I know some old school fans out there that did not like it. I know some old heads out there that didn't appreciate it. They say, let the kids play ball. But there is also, like you said, like you mentioned prior to this, there's a little bit of hypocrisy, right? Because this is the same guy who had an issue with Profar, right? I think he was about to go in the stands and fight somebody's grandpa. So I think, that's why I think you got to be very careful about how we judge each other, right? Because we all have moments. We're all human. And the moment sometimes gets the best of us, right? Good and bad. So I think we got to be very careful of how we judge. But for me, I was happy for Jesse Winker, right? I was happy for the Mets fan base, everything they've been through this season. I thought this was a great moment. This series was a great series for them, a great series win, a bunch of walk-off wins, a series that could really propel them down the stretch. So I thought the moment was cool, but a little bit of hypocrisy going on here.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. I love the fact that he was boisterous about the fact that he didn't like Profar's antics in front of their dugout. I love the fact that Jesse Winker did that to his dugout. What I loved the most was his hair. I said this, I was on a radio show before our show here, and I said this there. All athletes want to be rock stars. I don't know if rock stars want to be athletes or not, but this right here, that is rock star hair. There is no, like, rock star hair, pulling it off the helmet. He's not trying that. That hair is just a product of a few showers, no shampoo, and a lot of conditioner. I absolutely love it, and I love the fans' reaction. If you give me a video where I see a player's reaction, but it's 90% fan reaction in that moment, I get chills seeing that, and I get chills seeing the fans all at the same time, including Jesse Winker, seeing that ball's going out of the ballpark. I love it. I don't think it's excessive. I would consider myself more of the old school guy. I would never do it myself because I never hit a walk-off home run. So that's the only reason. If I did, it might have been more excessive than that.
Hey, I do have to admit, Kratzy, you're right. That clip that they just showed was phenomenal. Him at first base, the fans behind him. You can tell this Mets team is as together as they've been all season long. And you're right. For the moment, for the stretch run, I absolutely love it. I love it. This is going to help them play some really good baseball going down the stretch. They're going to feed off of this. But that was really fun to watch. That clip was something they will replay in that clubhouse to continue to keep them fueled, for sure.
Yep.
I like what Cam said, though, at the beginning. You just got to be careful about criticizing other celebrations. And I get it. There's a line, right? I don't know exactly what it is because some teams think that a celebration is offending them and trying to show them up. So it's tough to tell the difference. Like, is there a big difference between Profar celebration against the Nats versus Winker's celebration against the Orioles just now? Like, is it because the eyes don't turn as much towards the other dugout? Like, I'm trying to determine the line here. Okay, so I think we need to clarify that real quick because a lot of people watched that yesterday and they're like, really? Because you guys were giving Profar all kinds of hell for what he did.
And I'm with Scotty on this situation. Like, I'm okay with what happened. But it's like, if you are going to be so, upset about what Profar did, and like, if that wasn't arguably way more over the top, and yes, it wasn't in front of the opposing dugout, but I won't call it the antics because I think that was genuine emotion. But I just think you have to be very careful because anybody who knows Jurickson Profar also too, like, read the room. He's not that type of guy also. You know what I mean? Seriously. So, like, if we want, we can look into every little piece of it, but it's like, know the guy too. Jurickson Profar is one of the most liked guys around the league. You know that, Kratzy. People love playing with him. Every interaction I've had has been great. So I just think you got to be careful. You have to be careful because your moment might come, right? And there's a lot of people that didn't like that as well. I'm cool with it, but there's a lot of people that were probably thinking, hey, man, like, seriously, especially after how he reacted to the Jurickson Profar incident.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. But the Profar incident happened. I could say, you suck and I own you, and never do it right to your face. And out in the open, the video would never look like that. Yeah. But when you go in front of their dugout and do that, but also in that moment, they walked him to get to Profar. I can remember every at-bat, whether it was embarrassing or not, when somebody got walked in front of me to get to me, you have another extra level. And when you come through in that moment, oh, man, Profar did exactly what everybody that's ever been walked to get to wanted to do.
That's why I had a problem with it, though, guys, because almost anyone would react like that. It's not like he ran into the dugout to start throwing punches. Like, you walked him. I mean, you intentionally walked a guy to get to him, and he's like, don't walk me. Look what I just did. That's cool. That's pure passion and part of the game in a big moment. So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of that. I love the open, honest answers, and if that's how you really feel, great. We spoke to some Nats about it, but just want to make sure everyone understands the moment because just like Kratz said, anyone would feel the same way and feel slighted. He's a big league ball player. Profar specifically this year obviously has had by far a breakout career year. He's an all-star. He's one of the top on-base percentage guys in the game. He's got a career high or at least matching career high 20 homers, the whole deal. So anyway, yes, we see the breaking news on the Seattle Mariners. It looks like they are going to let Scott Service go. Our Ken Rosenthal with the report. So what we'll do is we'll spend a good deal of time on that after our next interview because we have a guest waiting for us in the green room. So we'll get to him first, of course. Our guest of honor coming up next, Lawrence Butler from the Oakland A's on FT. Busy day. Okay, again, FT fam, we see the news. Obviously, our guy Ken is all over the story, so we're going to digest it when we get a chance and then give us maybe 15 minutes or so, and then we'll spend some time on that Seattle Mariners ball club going through some changes right now. But in the meantime, we're getting ready for Lawrence Butler, and I just wanted to throw this out there because, again, these are the times when we don't necessarily have time to cover a story full on. Just a couple IL hits lately. Zach Eflin from a couple days ago goes to the shelf. They hope that it's going to be a short-term one. And then Luis Heel. So we see 2 hits in a row here in the AL East with pitchers. Kratz, you want to start off on that and how you think it'll play out?
Bigger hit for me, Eflin. And not because he is, they need these wins. Orioles are going to be fine. I think, 2.5 up. Isn't like super comfortable, but I think they have enough. Heel, he needed some time. We talked about inning mitigation. He needed some time, and hopefully it's not something serious because he had 6 walks in his last outing. Hopefully that's not what caused it or not why he had the 6 walks. Hopefully it's just something, it can be a reset, and he doesn't miss more than 2 or 3 starts.
Wow, that was take really made me question which is the bigger loss. I think it's a big loss for both. I think the Luis Hill doesn't surprise me as much, knowing that this is the most innings that he's thrown, a lot of high leverage innings. Pitching in those pinstripes is different, and with Garrett Cole being hurt, the pitching staff, the bullpen not being as sharp as you would have liked it to be in this season, he has been a big, intricate part of what they've been able to do and where they are, as a team and as a staff and as a rotation. I think the Eflin is just as big a loss. I think when you talk about it, one thing that I was really keen on was how amazing he was at, conserving the bullpen. He's an innings eater. So right there, that definitely hurts a lot when you have a bullpen that's been scuffling somewhat. They haven't been as sharp as we've seen them. So it's a big loss for both. I don't know. I honestly don't know which is the bigger loss because both of these teams seem like when one wins, the other one wins. When one loses, the other one loses. Nobody seems to be able to gain ground on each other. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out moving forward, though.
Yeah, and I'm more worried about the shoulder for Eflin. You just never like to see shoulder inflammation. Be right back. Here we go. Excited to have Lawrence Butler from the Oakland A's joining us right now. And can we call you Law? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, everybody call me Law, so y'all straight with that.
I love that. Great. Well, it's great to have you on here for the first time, Law. How has the entire season, but really specifically the second half of the year, been treating you? Because it's been a freaking blast to watch.
It's been amazing. My team's having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. We're just rolling over here in Oakland. We got a young group, but we have all played with each other through the minors. So, we're just having a lot of fun over here in Oakland. So, yeah, it's been amazing.
Law, what's up? It's Cam Maybin here, my guy. You talk about a young group, and I think you guys have some serious young talent. You've been one of them, 6'3", 210 pounds. I watched the video all night. I've been watching you all year. A different type of specimen. First off, your physique, your swing is beautiful, my guy. You got a gorgeous swing. Who was somebody that you watched growing up? Who was somebody that you tailored your game after? And who do you enjoy watching right now in the game?
Growing up, being from Atlanta, I watched Andrew Jones a lot. I watched Chipper Jones a lot. So, those are two of my guys that I like to watch growing up, just being Braves fans growing up. Right now, I love to watch Ronald Acuna. And, my favorite player right now, I say Juan Soto. I mean, he's just unbelievable. I mean, it's like he goes out there, gets a walk or a homer every game. So I love watching Juan Soto, just taking his at-bats. I mean, he's swinging at strikes. He's taking balls. I mean, he's just what you want in an ideal lefty.
Law, have you gotten to? Go ahead, Cam.
Go ahead. No, I wanted to follow up. So, and because I wanted to ask, as I watch your game continue to progress, you talk about Juan Soto, you talk about these guys who are extremely good hitters. What do you think Lawrence Butler needs to do to continue to help your game ascend? Because the all-star type potential is definitely there. The confidence is there. The arm defensively is there. You can do everything on the baseball field. But what do you feel like you need to do to continue to elevate your game so it all continues to blossom it's looking like it's about to?
I just feel like, just being a little bit more consistent at the plate. Just having a little bit more walks. I like to walk, so, if I could just walk a little bit more, cut the strikeouts down a little bit and really just, be a little bit more consistent at the plate. And I feel like that would kind of, just curve out the athletic ability I have that I use in the field and on the bases and really just everywhere else. So, this offseason I'm going to go into it, really, really hone in, really focus on, hitting and also always defense because I work out with Marquise Grissom a lot. And, he won like 4 or 5 Gold Gloves, so he always going to stay on us on defense. So, yeah.
Love it.
Hey, have you gotten to chat with Acuna or Soto or even Chipper or Andrew Jones? Like any of the guys that you love either watching now or in the past, have you had combos with? And if not, what's the best combo you've had with a prominent big leaguer about the game?
I haven't gotten to talk to any of them because we like majority of them play outfield. So, and I'm in the outfield. It ain't like we gonna come across each other on the base pass or anything like that. But I would love to talk to Juan Soto or really just all of those guys because those are all great players and they've all proven themselves in this league to be Hall of Fame type of players. So I would love to talk to one. But I'd say the best advice was probably from my guy Brent Rooker. I had a 3 home run game in Philadelphia, and he kind of just took me to the end of the dugout and was like, "Hey, like I want you to remember this feeling. Never forget this feeling that you can do it. Like you have the ability, you have the talent. You're one of the best. So like anytime you have a down moment or you feel like you're going through ups and downs through the league, just always remember that you have the ability to go out there any game and do this what you did right here. So I give it to Brent.
All right, I got a comment and then I got a question for you. All right, the comment is, if you're working with Marquise, you better know how many Gold Gloves that man has. That man's got 4 Gold Gloves. Okay.
Right.
I like that. I like that you were saying he might have had 5, but you got to know, like, you got to give that man his flowers, as Cam would say.
Because if you go to his house, it's like he got all on the display. But I always mix it up because I think he has one of Willie Mays' Gold Gloves. So like sometimes I get it confused with 4 or 5, but I think it's 4, and then he got one of Willie Mays' Gold Gloves in there with him. So I just be getting it mixed up sometimes. So.
Hey, he got Willie Mays' Gold Glove. Like Willie just had so many of them things. He's giving them out to other people.
Exactly. He got a lot of stuff in that house. He got a lot of memorabilia in that crib. We be taking some of his stuff too. Like we'll go over there, take some of them balls. We be getting after it.
Stop it. Next time you come on here, I want to see a picture of you with one of his Gold Gloves, with Marquise's Gold Gloves, in your house.
Okay, I got it. I don't know about that one. He might get on me if I try to take one of his, though. He be special about his Gold Gloves.
Okay. So my question is, you talked about the guys that you would love to meet or talk. What would be the one question? Like you're talking about Juan Soto the whole time, or an Aaron Judge or someone else. What would be the question that you would ask those guys?
I really just want to know, like, I really want to know, like, what is he kind of thinking in the box, just in all situations, and like how does he keep his movements the same every swing? Because it seems like every swing, no matter the pitch, no matter the location, no matter the count, he's always on time, he's always ready. So I really just kind of want to know, like, what is he thinking in the box, and what is, what is his thought process so he's always ready and on time for every pitch. So that's really kind of what I like to pick his brain about.
I love that. A student of the game. Listen, let's have some fun with it, man. When we talking baseball, we know what type of athlete you are. A long line of athletes. Tell me, I got a couple. Tell me who's the best athlete in your family besides yourself. And
Okay,
then two, give me that one. And then two, I'm gonna get to it. I want to get to the fashion thing because on the preview, I said we have the young Lawrence Butler on Fashion Guru because I know you got some sauce. I want to hear, who you think is the best dressed in the game. But first, best athlete in the family other than yourself. Two, give me your top 5 best dressed, drippiest in the game right now.
Okay, best athlete in my family other than me, I would have to give it to Pops because, he hooped. He was a hooper. He hooped in college. He went overseas to Spain to play. He played in, Spain Olympics because my grandma's actually, part French or Spain. So I give it to him. And top 5 drippiest players in the game, I give it to myself. Jazz be drip. Jose Ramirez be having it on too. Let me think. Tatis be drip. Let me think who else be having some fashion.
Frankie Lindor not in there for you?
Yeah, Lindo do be having some drip. I got to actually meet him last time we was in New York. He was cool. He got some drip for sure. I'm missing one on him. I'm missing one that he really be having it on for. I'm trying to think of who he is.
American guy, or a Latin player.
Yeah, he American guy. I'll be like.
It ain't McKenzie, is it?
Nah, Dom Smith. Dom Smith low key got some drip. CJ too. CJ be drip too. CJ be drip too.
I asked that because you guys have a wave of kids that are watching, and like I always tell Jazz, continue to be yourself. You know what I mean? Continue to be yourself because that's how you get the best out of yourself. So I just, I'll leave you with that, man. Continue to be yourself.
I love watching Jazz. I mean, he kind of sometimes give me a little confidence, go out there and be myself. Sometimes you just want to do stuff and you question how would people look at it or think about it. But, you kind of see other players in the league doing it. It kind of gives you a little confidence, a little leeway to be like, all right, if he can do it, I can do it. So, yeah, shout out to Jazz for sure.
Kratz, you have one or no? I thought you said you're jumping
in. I did, but I was just gonna make sure you put Dom Smith in there, and then I said,
and then you got the drop.
In our chat, you got it. You beat me to it. So we'll go back. We'll go back. Do we have more of those? Because I got one more baseball for you.
Kratz, you can go and then we'll jump back with it. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, what's the deal? You're 10 for 10 in bags. But they're not letting you eat a little bit more. They're not letting you go enough. Is there a lot of red lights? Because it's not like you guys got dudes hitting 40 homers. Stolen bases are it. My man's 10 for 10, and they're not letting you eat. I mean, I at least need to see one caught stealing before they give you a red light again.
I'm just like I said, I'm a young rookie, man. I'm just trying to not step on anybody's toes, so I kind of just go when they tell me to go. Sometimes I go on my own, but I mean they let it know that they don't want us to just be out there running, so I kind of don't want to OD on just going on my own all the time. But I do steal bases though. Hopefully one day they'll give me a predominant green light where I could just go on my own. But yeah, I think I can get more than 10 for sure.
30 next year.
How many can you get?
I feel like I could easily get 30 though. Give me a whole year of straight green light, 30 easily. Easy.
I need it. We get you with my boy D Gordon. We have you right.
Yeah, D be stealing bags. I need to go talk to all the bag stealers around the league, see what the secret sauce is. Ellie got 70 already or something like that. Those some crazy numbers. I need to go talk to them, see what they be doing to get all these bags.
What do you think about him? From a statistical standpoint, whether it's Ellie or someone else in the league. I know you mentioned Acuna and Soto you like to watch, but who else has stood out to you, whether you've gotten to actually face them or guys that you watch that you're like, damn, like this is the next, these are the next faces of our game.
I like watching Ellie. Another player like I just recently became a fan of is Zach Neto. I mean, he just watching him field and watching him go out there and just make hard ground balls look routine. I think he's one of our best shortstops in the game. I mean, he's a really good player. I like watching him play. Plus, we played him a lot. being in the same division. So, I think he's a real good player. He's going to be like one of the top shortstops in our game.
I got another one for you, Law. We were talking about this before the show started. Let's bring in Cam for this one too, at least to get his face and see if he wants to add to this. Your team's so young, and they've been going through the rebuild process. Now you're starting to see those players like yourself. Obviously, Brent has been great the last couple of years, and many others. I know Shea's having a really strong year behind the plate. Who's bringing the whole crew together as a vocal leader, right? You've got your lead by example, and Cam, if you want to add to this before Law answers, you've got some guys who are quiet, lead by example, even if they're the star of the team. And then you've got guys that are having those conversations, I guess, like Brent had with you in the dugout. But anything I'm missing there, Cam?
Yeah. I appreciate you remembering that. We just talked about it as I kind of scanned over the roster. You guys play hard as hell every night. Kratz was so big for me as a young guy, but I'm asking myself, I'm asking these guys, who's the guy that's leading? Who's the guy that's stepping up as the vocal guy that's saying, hey guys, screw the record. We're going to go out and play our butts off every single night. We're going to give it our all. We're going to play the cleanest brand of baseball we can. Like, who's that guy? Because you guys are so young. You guys are all trying to find your way. And sometimes when you're on a young losing team and you're trying to find your way, it's easy for the selfishness to kind of trickle in. But you guys don't like you play a selfish brand of baseball, though. Who's the guy to keep you guys locked in? Who's the rib?
I would have to give it to. I have to give it. Of course, you said Brent. I give it to some of the pitchers like T.J. McFarland. I give it to Seth Brown. Like Geloff says his pieces every now and then, but it's really like a group of all of us. I mean, we're a young core. We've all play with majority of each other through the minor league. So we're kind of like, we're tired. We haven't had that much time in the league. So we don't want to be known as the team that always gets beat, the Oakland A's with a 100-loss season. We want to be the new A's that come in, beat people. Y'all come to our Oakland facility. Y'all think it's not that fun because we don't have a lot of fans, but we playing it every day. So we used to it. So they come sleep. We come punch them in the mouth, and then they go on about the day to the rest of the league that, Oakland ain't no joke. So I really think it's all of us. Like, we all going out there every day. Like, we don't want to be the laughing stock of the league. We want to let the league know that this ain't the same team as the previous years. Like, this a whole new team, whole new staff, whole new everything. Like, and you can't come play with us.
What about when y'all guys go to Sacramento next year? Y'all feel like you're going to own that, or you're going to fry on that turf?
We already said we're going to own it. Already, everybody going to come in there disappointed. We playing in the AAA stadium, but we play here every day, so we used to it. We still don't want to lose. We still want to win. We still can make the playoffs. AAA stadium, MLB stadium, it don't matter. Like, we still going to go out there and win all these games and, do what we've been doing this second half of the season. So, I'm excited.
I like that. Hey, I hope we have playoff games there, as you know, too. And also the AL West is going through a shift right now. Obviously, Rangers won it last year. They've had a down year this year. Mariners are going through it right now. Astros are always a pain. I'm sure you guys will have a lot of fun with them, but that'll be the next rivalry. But, Law, this was awesome. It was great to have you on here for the first time. Really appreciate the time. Keep doing your thing, and we'll get you back at some point, all right?
No problem. Appreciate y'all for having me on.
Thank you.
Keep shining, big dog. Keep shining.
Appreciate you.
Lawrence Butler with us, Law on FT. Coming right back. We'll hit that Scott Service Mariners news. 4 games, 1 for 11. I'm just curious. They said they don't want him to just sit. That's fine. But what was the plan? The plan was, let's give him 4 games and send him back down. There's no way that makes sense.
Yeah, this one it's going to take a minute to explain. And the reason that it's going to be so complicated is because it's just an example of how desperate the Cardinals have become to generate some sort of offense. It's simply the state of where they are right now, right? They're 12 games back in the division, 6 games out of the playoffs picture in general. They just have not been a good club in August, and it's more or less tanked their season. So all year, and even dating back to Walker's rookie season, John Mozeliak and Ollie Marmol have preached consistent playing time. What matters if you're a young player is that they're playing games every single day. They are not going to call Walker up to sit on the bench. Except for this 1 week where Matt Carpenter was on the injured list, but they knew that his injury was a lower back soreness, was not going to take more than the 10 days allotted. So the Cardinals are looking at how to maximize offensive production from a lineup that really has not produced anything offensively all season. They've really struggled against left-handed pitchers. They looked at the next 7 days. They saw they were going to face 3 lefties, and they said, okay, who's on our 40-man right now that can help us win 3 games? And the best bat for what they were trying to do was Jordan Walker. Now, the organization's rationale is 3 games at the major league level is not going to deter his long-term development. Is this a decision that they would have made in May or June? No, because they wouldn't feel the need to rush him up. That they feel the need to make that decision in the middle of August, that these 3 games against the Reds and the Dodgers – Cardinals were swept by the Reds. They won 1 against the Dodgers, so it didn't go well. That they felt the need that those 3 games were so important against lefties that it was worth calling Walker up and burning an option says all you need to know about the state of this team right now. It's not a sign of where they feel of Walker or where they feel about development or them all of a sudden having this like change of course and believing he could come in there and be a platoon guy. That's not what they wanted. It was simply a state of desperate times, desperate measures. They needed their best bat off the bench to come produce against lefties. That happened to be Walker at the time. It didn't work out.
And talk about fan interaction in that game. Mm-hmm. Probably had another record sellout since they record sellout all the time. But that place was jumping again on a Tuesday night. Atlanta is also in the wild card. They weren't jumping. So why is San Diego what are they doing that other places aren't doing?
Only show in town. They haven't had endless winning in their lives.
Okay.
It's just a party there. They have a lot of big names to rally around. I'm not saying this as a knock to Atlanta, more just you're only seeing this in a few spots because Atlanta gets pretty lit. All right, FT fam, you know what to do. Scan that QR code to get the FT leadoff newsletter. It's every Monday and Thursday. Gets you caught up on the week. If it's Thursday, gets you caught up from the weekend. If you missed anything on Mondays, again, scan that QR code. I'll drop the link in there too. It is free to subscribe. All right, so we're seeing the news coming in about Scott Servais and the Seattle Mariners are going to go in a different direction. Ken Rosenthal, first to report that the Mariners were expected to make a move like this. There it is. M's expected to fire Scott Servais and name Dan Wilson as the manager of the Seattle Mariners for now in the interim. That's an interesting one. Obviously, Dan with a lot of success in the past as a Mariners player, not with the managerial experience, but also you're just trying to get through the end of the season. So let's take some time on this one, Cam. We've covered the Mariners a lot lately because they start to slide down. And even though they got swept up by the Dodgers, and that probably puts the nail in the coffin on why they make a move like this, it's been a problem all season, right? We got to this point in the year. In my mind, this is an historic staff to watch. This starting pitching is so damn good on a nightly basis, whether they're at home or on the road. And they did not back them up with the lineup that they need, and now the bullpen started to fall apart. So what's your take on the 2024 Mariners, and do you think this move makes sense?
I think it makes sense personally. I don't think we've ever had a conversations about how, my experience with Scott Servais. I think prior to that winning season, the run they made a year ago, I felt like Scott Servais personally had a lot of opportunities after a lot of losing seasons, a lot of bad managerial seasons. When I think about good managers, right, I think about winning teams, and just right now, we can just go around the league right now. I think about what Stephen Vogt has been able to do over in Cleveland. I think about Brian Snitker. I think about Brandon Hyde. I think about, you can say Aaron Boone, Alex Cora. I'm naming guys that I've been around that one thing they did really, really great is they communicated. When a manager tells you at the beginning of the year at spring training, hey, my door is always open, some of those guys don't always mean that, right? They really actually don't want you to come knock on the door at all, right? They don't want any type of confrontation. They don't want any type of, I don't want to say accountability. They want things to just go smoothly. And, my experience with Scott Service is he wasn't the best communicator in my eyes. I don't think I was the only one who felt like that who has played for him. And I don't think he's a manager that ever really has the guys, who has the boys. And I don't know if the boys ever really feel like this guy really has our back. And it's just my personal experience. So for me, I know this was hard for Jerry Dipoto. I know they are really good friends. I think the world knows how good of friends they are. I think their families are great friends. So I know this wasn't an easy move for Jerry Dipoto. But I think it was long overdue. I think the managers needed somebody else new at the face to try to lead the troops. And at the same time, you still have to put the right guys in the clubhouse, right? The players are the ones that have to perform. But I think you have to have somebody that guys love coming to the park, showing up and going, I can't wait to, give this guy everything I have. And I don't know if he was that guy.
That's the next step. That's the next level. Talking about communication. I don't know Scott at all. Never played for him, with him, anything like that. That's the next step. If you're looking to take a team that you believe is on the fringe of playoffs, believe is on the fringe of a World Series, it's that communication. How do you get the best out of all 26, 42, 51 guys that come up and play on the big league team? And something's missing there. Is it Scott's fault? No. Does he take the blame? Absolutely. Is he part of the blame there? Yes, absolutely. Everybody needs to look at themselves. We talked about it the other day. Anytime a coach or a manager gets fired in the middle of a season, as a player, you sit there and you go, it's kind of my fault. Whether you liked him or not, whether you're like, good riddance, he never liked me, he never talked to me, good riddance, it's kind of my fault because I struck out this many times. I didn't come through in this spot. And when managers say, I have an open door policy, managers that don't communicate well, and I'm not going to name any names, but there's plenty of them that don't communicate, and you named a bunch of them that do communicate well, that door is open, and you can walk both ways. The manager can go out there and talk to players, not to be their friend, but to get the most out of them. Doesn't mean a player has to go in there and talk to them. So to me, that's where the communication has to happen. You have to have a open door policy where you're willing to walk through as a manager and go and talk and have those tough conversations.
So I still want to take some time here on how disappointing the season has been for Seattle, but also I think many people saw it coming with the way that they handled the offseason. First, let me just double down for a moment because you have the firsthand experience, Cam. Do you feel like there at times could have been a lack of communication or just a lack of a plan and an identity? And I say that specifically for the offense and for position players, right? You've had a group now in place for almost a decade with Jerry Dipoto running the front office and Scott Service as his right-hand man. And you finally started to see the turn, right? Those two have been lockstep. They are like best of friends. And you saw the turn. I know there was a quote recently from Dipoto in the last few days where he was asked about if, maybe a change was needed. And he essentially said yes. So you saw the tea leaves here. But Cam, I'm wondering from your perspective, if some of this does have to do with the way that the org is set up right now, because I will give Jerry Dipoto a ton of credit. For example, he is often given a very specific budget at a time when they should be pushing. This is the time, and he has not been given that from ownership, from his bosses. So he has had to do the constant mixing and matching. But at the same time, going one step lower, like, are they getting the best out of their players, out of their position players right now? I think most people would say no.
And as a guy who played on 10 different teams, who had a chance to experience losing and winning, I can just tell you, personally speaking, when I was there, I felt like, it was the guys that were doing a lot of coaching themselves. Like Mitch Haniger almost felt like my hitting coach. Like I was going to Mitch about, more hitting than, whoever was in place. And I just felt like there was just a lot of discord going where, like you said, there was no direction or guys really have an identity or who they are. And I know at the big leagues, you expect guys to know who they are, but sometimes you have guys that need somebody to say, hey, this is you, right? You're a guy that I want trying to drive balls in the gap, or hey, you're a guy that I want to see working the count, or don't be afraid to take a peek as the guy playing back. Like, know your game. And I felt like when you talk about analytics, right? What are analytics? It's just information. And I felt like the players weren't getting the best information that they could to make the game as easy as possible compared to other situations, other organizations, other analytic departments that I've been a part of, that I felt like, okay, these guys gave me a really good plan today. Now it's up to me to go execute. And I feel like there was just none of that, during my experience there. And I think it was bigger than just the players not getting it done. At the end of the day, you still have to set guys up for success. And I feel like Jerry DiPoto did his part, like you said, trying to do his best to piece and mix and match. But at some point, the manager has to go, okay, this is what I want to see. This is what we're going to be. This is our identity. And I just feel like that was not going on with Scott Service.
So on the team side, Kratz, we do this show every single day, even in the off season. I think we were collectively complaining as a group about what was going on. We went from this exciting Seattle team with an incredible starting staff that needs a little push in some other areas, especially aircraft carriers in the lineup, and not just relying on Julio and obviously guys like Cal Raleigh, who's a stud. Last year, when we spoke about Shohei Ohtani, we were like, the Mariners are going to be in play for him, right? We went from that all the way to forget them even trading for Soto because he's 1 year, $30 million, all the way to this, right? Trying to make, lemonades out of lemons at times with what they were given in the offseason. Jerry DiPoto even said he had to shift some of their focus on how they balance how much they spend on pitching versus position players. There just always was a budget talk. And again, I'm going to blame John Stanton and ownership on this front, right? Seattle has decided to pull back the reins at a time when they could have been a World Series champion, and they have not given themselves the best chance to succeed there. So, Kratz, Mariners fans on a day like today deserve to be incredibly mad, incredibly pissed off, because everyone saw this coming, right? They went to a different TV package in the offseason where they were going to charge more, and they were like, we're worried about that, so we're going to lower the budget. When the answer should have been, let's make this team super sexy, right? Let's put a Padres spin on it. I'm not saying the Padres have been the most successful franchise, but they draw crowds on TV. They draw crowds to the ballpark because they invest in their franchise. They go above and beyond. And I felt like they just smacked their fans in the face and said, we're going to a different TV level. We're worried you're not going to pay for it, so we're going to give you a worse product.
It's crazy. It's crazy. If you're a Mariners fan, today's news only boils your blood even more, because not that they needed Scott Service around, but it seems like that the moves that are made are not the moves that are ultimately going to help the team win. The moves that will help the team win are a budget that is commensurate with, that is equal to the talent that is on the field. The talent that is only going to get more expensive. So are you willing to extend Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Brian Wu, Cal Raleigh? Are you willing to extend them? And if you are, you have to do something as an ownership to say, I want to keep this guy around. Ryan Divish was on the other day and said, why would Cal Raleigh want to stay around if you're never going to put other players of his equal or greater ability with him on the field? So to me, hey, you fired Scott Service. You're going to bring in a manager. Maybe that communicates better. Cool. The thing is, ownership has to be willing to push in while they still have the pieces, because this window is closing, and it's closing fast.
I got one more piece of the puzzle here, because J.P. Crawford was incredible last year. He's had a down year, and he's had some injuries, right? He's still out. Julio Rodriguez had a down first month and change, whatever it was last year. And then second half, he was insane. I mean, if you take that and double it, he's an MVP, right? How do you feel like the development of Julio has gone, Cam? Because also, yeah, he's gone through, a few cuts and bruises here and there where he's sat, but I think overall he's been okay. And physically, but we haven't seen him develop into that consistent superstar yet. And I'm wondering how much of that has to do with the org and the coaching, how much of that has to do with him thinking he has to do everything. What do you see with him?
I think it's a combination of all of those things that you just said. And for me, one thing as I sit back and I watch the struggles, the first thing that came to mind is my experience. And I remember going, like, I felt like I was so on the island at times in that cage. I felt like there was nobody really giving me good advice as far as hitting. And I feel like he's on the island right now, right? I feel like he's extremely in his head right now. And then I feel like he feels like because of the deal, because of everything that has been placed upon him, which I think is rightfully so. I think there has been pressure been put on his shoulders when you talk about the offense lacking this, right? You're not possibly going to get the pieces that you needed, and I even think right now, like, you think a JD Martinez wouldn't help Julio Rodriguez out, having a guy like that around him. Go pay him. It's a 1-year deal. Probably you have the best staff arguably in the game. Like, go add a JD Martinez for whatever it costs and bring him in and put him around a young guy to help him bloom and blossom if you don't have the right instructors around him. Because sometimes, and I think Kratzy knows, when you talk about professional athletes, we think these guys are so good and so talented that they can figure it all out on their own. Well, you actually need the right guys around them, the right voices, different voices to sometimes go, oh, okay, this clicked for me. And I just think one thing that they've lacked, and even, talking with my guy D. Gordon, he went through a lot of frustration with the lack of communication there, the lack of instruction there. So this isn't something that I'm making up. These are things that I've heard have been an issue with the organization. And I think right now Julio is a product of that. So you talk about Cal Raleigh, Kratzy, spot on. Why would a guy like that want to stay when, honestly, they haven't played bad baseball, but when, offensively you are, inept of doing things well, it's contagious. And I think Cal Raleigh has actually, excelled with the lack of probably information around him. So why would a guy like that want to stay when there's so many organizations that guys talk about, really giving them the right information and taking their game to another level? I think they're like Kratzy said, the window is about to close now. And I think it's going to be tough to get back to where they wanted it to be a year ago.
Yeah, it's a good call. I mean, the way to fix this is to bring in some star bats, and that's going to cost money, right? I mean, they have a pretty good looking farm system, but this isn't going to be instant returns where suddenly they're going to be the next Baltimore Orioles where there's position players coming left and right. The starting pitching's been there. We've been talking about it for a while. They did not support it after tanking for a while and putting them in a position on the pitching side to win a World Series. So, and last word here, and then we'll step aside and get ready for our next guest. Some of the trades that have been made during the season also don't play well with players. I've talked to some about it. Trading Paul Sewald, trading Kendall Graveman. Some of it's getting a little too cute. And also, again, that they have to be really careful with payroll. Like it puts the team in a weird spot. Okay. So I've felt that way when I'm talking to some players. You just don't want to subtract. I get it. Sometimes you just see those classic baseball trades, but there's just too much that's being done there sometimes that you're not seeing from other consistent winning organizations. And that's why they've made the playoffs once in this decade, or sorry, I mean, yes, in this decade, but in this century, right? In the 21st century, one time, twice, right? 2001 and 2022. 2001. Yeah, for the people that are going to get technically nerdy with me. So anyway, let's step aside. We're excited to bring in our next guest in a moment. We're going to talk to Jake Mintz from Yahoo Sports. We'll cover some of this and a lot more next. And if you're on YouTube right now, we'll keep going. We also see that news about Perry Minasian with the Angels. We're going to digest that, and we'll spend a few minutes on that coming up soon, too. Do you guys want to hit for 2 minutes the Arcia versus Harper action yesterday? Because I don't think there's a ton to it, but it's just fun, and it continues the chapter from the playoffs last year. Go ahead, Mr. Philly.
I love this. I mean, not just Mr. Philly. I'm watching the game last night. I'm also Mr. Orlando Arcia. I mean, one of my favorite teammates from 2018 season. He's having a down year. Hits a dinger last night. And exactly like he said after the game, he said it twice. Just enjoying my home run. That's okay. You can enjoy your home run. Staring back at Bryce. He remembers how embarrassing that was, that people painted it, oh, it was his fault. You woke up a sleeping giant. Like, knowing he knows he's hitting 220. It's okay. He still wants to have fun.
Listen, I'm saying don't wake up a sleeping giant. The Braves are as banged up as you can be banged up. Do me a favor. Give the Phillies another reason to come together, to go ahead and just for real put their foot on the gas and really try to stomp you out. Like, I get it, bro, but like, read the room, man. Like, cut it out. Cut it out. No, and you got an L, and you caught an L last night. I don't like it. Run the bags, bro. You hitting 220. I've been there. Head down, run the bags. Go cheer your guys up, man. That all you're gonna do is piss Philly off even more. And they're going to go, you know what? Yeah, that whole run is over with. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just telling you what you're going to do. You don't pour gasoline on the fire, man. Don't do it.
So what's the batting average that he can stare at him? What if he was hitting 250? Is it cool then?
At 250, they were playing good ball, maybe in it, maybe looking like they had a chance, playing great as a team, all of those things. Not just about you, Orlando. It's about the team, bud. They got to play better. Play better right now. That wasn't the right time. I get it, but that wasn't the right time. No, I wasn't a fan of it. Pick your moment.
I like this. Hey, Harper, of course, postgame's like, yeah, I didn't see it. I don't care. I couldn't care less. I already did it. So
yeah, we're leading the division. You know what I mean?
That's good though. I will tell you this,
weeks.
Bryce knows the game. He knows that stuff's good for the game too, and it's fun. This is some August dog days fun. We got a lot of action going on in mid-August, right? Sometimes August can drag. It's not dragging right now. Not today.
Maybe I should take Bryce as my lock for tonight. Just saying.
Yeah, good call.
You better.
Ooh, here we go. We got some action going on right now. Jake Mintz from Yahoo Sports joining us, one half of Cespedes Barbecue as well. Jake, great to have you on here for the first time. And obviously everyone can check out Jake's work and Cespedes Barbecue on Twitter and all the Yahoo Sports action. But I mean, we picked a good day for you. We got a lot of breaking news to hit you with right off the jump. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm here at Yankee Stadium in the room behind the press box. This is not my apartment. I just want to be very clear. I love ball. This much, my fiance would have some words about this type of decor. But I'm going to be honest, literally learned about the Scott service news while I was like in the green room waiting to hop on. So I have really not had time to digest that. But it is certainly some interesting stuff going on today.
Yeah. And even just on the whole, and we can start there. I mean, you've watched Seattle play ball this year as a team with a ridiculous starting rotation. And now that's been running for years. And fans were pretty, I think, rightfully pissed about them not going too hard this offseason. So with the result of all that, how shocked are you to see Seattle in this place right now as a 500 ball club that's very much on the outside looking into a playoff spot?
I'm not surprised this is where they're at. I think Jerry DiPoto said the quiet part out loud over the offseason when he said our goal is to win 54% of games, right? That should never be your goal. I don't need to tell the two of you who played professional baseball that no one in a clubhouse is out there trying to win 54% of games. What I think is really frustrating for Mariners fans is that organization does a lot of things right. They do pitching development and pitching as a whole better than a lot of other teams. And so it's just very bizarre that they can get one thing so right and one thing they can't even come close. Now, I know that the park has a lot to do with that, but just from a communication standpoint, like you folks were saying earlier on, the offensive stuff there just hasn't been working. Am I surprised that they've decided to can service? Yes. That surprises me mostly just because the relationship that he and DiPoto have had for such a long time.
Okay, and then one more on the breaking news front. You know, it looks like Perry Minasian's going to keep running the Angels. What do you think about the state of that franchise right now?
I am surprised that he signed an extension. The buzz that I had heard is that he was going to move on, that tenure was up. Being the general manager of the Angels is unlike any other job because you are so beholden to what ownership tells you, what Artie Moreno, the head man there, is saying. I think that Artie has done a solid enough job getting some of these young players to the major leagues. There are some reasons for optimism, but the organizational infrastructure there still is not in place for them to be a winning team. Now, that's going to take a long, long time for it to get better. Is Perry the person to do that? I don't know if we've seen enough at the minor league level quite yet for me to feel confident in it.
All right. So is this why we don't have a 100-win team? Your article about losing the 100-win team, is that the apex of a baseball season, is having a team run away and win 100 games?
Look, just because something is dead doesn't mean I'm mourning it. I think we're in a better place. I think it's more interesting that we don't have an 100-win team. And I think that, the union would probably tell you this is the competitive balance that we're looking for in the game, right? Where more teams are involved and fan bases are invested deeper into the season. Now, I asked around to people in the game, why will we not have an 100-win team this season? Unless the Dodgers, Guardians, Orioles, Yankees get really hot down the stretch, it'll be the first year since 2014 that we don't have one. That just feels notable, right? Last year we had 3, the year before that 4, the year before that 3. And I got a bunch of varying responses. Some people thought it's, this is a blip and we'll get another next year. And some thought it was the start of a longer trend. I mean, the arguments for a blip are look at any good team and they have 5 injured players, right? If you're an Atlanta Brave, chances are you've missed a significant period of time this season. The Orioles have had a ton of injuries on their pitching staff. The Dodgers have lost a lot of arms. The Phillies forgot how to play baseball for 2 months in the middle of the season. The Guardians and the Brewers probably never had that type of ceiling to begin with. And so it's just maybe a particular set of circumstances for this individual season. I can get into the flip side of that argument, but I'm actually curious what you folks think.
Well, I want to add to that point because I think the competitive balance has been outstanding this year. I think this is the most competitive that the league has been on a whole. Every night I look to see who's playing each other, and I think even if it's the Rockies and the Athletics, I'm thinking, okay, evenly matched game. But from a standpoint of being bad or good for the game, does this incentivize teams to go, okay, no teams is winning 100 games? Does this incentivize you to go ahead and go, we're going to develop a little bit longer. We're not going to go spend that money because, hey, there's a chance that it won't look as bad because nobody's winning 100 games anymore. Where do you sit on that?
I think it works both ways. I think there's more of an incentive for an 85-win team to spend enough money to get to 90. The Diamondbacks would be a really good example of this, right? They won 84 games last year, made a hot run in October, went out in the offseason and spent some more money, and it's going to help them once they get to the playoffs this season. On the flip side, if you're a team like the Orioles who thinks you're going to win a division and win 97 games, there's not a whole lot of incentive to spend the money to go over the hump to become a 104-win team. And so I do think in that way it evens out. I think that the one downside to this is come October, we're not going to have David versus Goliath. We're going to have a bunch of teams that are all on the same level playing one another. Now, the narratives will still be great and the ball will still be amazing in October, but we won't necessarily have the juggernaut versus the minnow in the way that we've had in some previous seasons.
What do you think about the way fans were angry last offseason or this past offseason about the Dodgers and their dominant spending, obviously revolving around Shohei Ohtani, but it wasn't just Shohei, the Glass Now edition and Teo, etc. I'm sure you were laughing just like we were when fans, not all, I'm just saying there was plenty of call outs like this isn't fair. Rules need to get changed. They're automatically going to win it all. Do you think fans forgot that it's actually MLB and not NBA and it works completely differently in our sport?
Well, you just need so many different players, right? And you can't, I say this to people all the time, right? If a team doesn't spend money on players, it's not like that money is going to feed the hungry, right? It's not an if or, right? It's like, what, you want the Dodgers ownership to just like keep that money and buy a 7th house? Like, no, the team should be spending it on players. Like, that is the point of these organizations, are to try and build good teams, or at least that's what the point should be. And, the Dodgers season has been very good despite a rash of injuries. I think if Mookie doesn't get hit on the hand, they probably win 100 games, right? And this conversation is different. But I think you're so right. Baseball's so random. And just look at the Mets last year, right? They spent the GDP of a small Caribbean nation on the roster and didn't sniff the postseason.
Listen, so I want to talk about, as we talk about that, I want to touch on the AL East. Your Baltimore Orioles, the New York Yankees. Both of these guys just got hit with some, I don't want to say devastating news, but unfortunate news, with Zach Eflin going down, Luis Hill going down. Neither one of these teams seem like they can pull away or catch the other one. What are you seeing, and are you worried about the O's right now offensively, the bullpen? Where are you at right now on the O's? Because, again, I think they've had a little bit of luck on their side, because when they don't play well, the Yankees haven't played well. What are you seeing from them? What are you seeing out of AL East? Give me your prediction coming down the stretch.
So I think the Orioles bullpen, I don't feel great about either of these teams. I mean, I don't feel good about any team right now, to be honest with you, which is what I was just talking about. But the Orioles bullpen situation right now, to me, is just so mind-blowing. I really struggle to critique teams' decision-making process because we are working with so much less information than they have, right? Like, all of us are trying to cover 30 teams and we're working with whatever we can find online. Like, this is all these teams are doing all the time. And so I usually will see to them and say, these smart people are right. But what the Orioles did with their bullpen at the deadline just is not working immediately in the way that it felt like it was going to go, right? They were trying to acquire arms in Gregory Soto and Sir Anthony Dominguez, where there was a lot of upside there. If we can pull the most talent out of these guys, they could be real difference makers. But if you're a team that's trying to compete for a division, you should be going out and getting players that are going to be good, not players that could be good. And that is exactly how it's played out already for the Orioles, with Dominguez allowing 2 walk-off home runs in that series against the Mets. I believe Soto's ERA is north of 15. And they just optioned Trevor Rogers, who they traded for at the deadline, from the Marlins. And so I am very concerned about the Orioles. Now, yes, all those pitching injuries have been very unlucky, right? They have a whole rotation on the IL. That doesn't excuse the process, in my mind, of how they assembled this bullpen at the deadline.
We can say what they did wrong. What should they have done? Where was their answer based on what was available at the deadline? Or is the Orioles minor league system that vaunted that they could have pried player X away from a team that would have made you go, whoa, they're going for it?
Now, this is why I prefaced it with, I am dumber than GMs, because they have all the info, right? However, one obvious one is Tanner Scott instead of Trevor Rogers. Okay. Both from the Marlins. I would say that the package the Orioles gave up to get Scott, or to get Rogers, was relatively similar to the one that the Padres gave up to get Scott, where you could imagine the Orioles upping that if they needed to because of the depth of the farm system, right? Now, the reason they went out and got Rogers is because he has more team control. He's a lefty. He's a starting pitcher. All of these things. Scott is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I understand that. But the Scott move, to me, feels more urgent in a positive way. So, if you're asking for like one specific thing, that is something that came to mind.
So spot on. That is an amazing take, and so spot on. Almost like I maybe I've said this twice today, trying to be too cute again, right? With a move where you're like, oh, I think we're going to unlock something here. It's like, yo, not right now. Okay. You can deal with that in the offseason.
Gets out right now. Yeah. Like, they need that. They're rolling Craig Kimbrell out there in high leverage spots at a time in his career when he's really not capable of locking down those outs anymore. Look, he's a legend. He changed baseball, right? The high ride heater and the breaker, like, it's iconic. I understand that. But we have seen it time and time again. Like, if you were managing a team and you gave 2024 Craig Kimbrell the ball with a 1-run lead in the 9th, do you feel confident? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel more confident giving that ball to Tanner Scott? Probably.
Hell yeah.
Right? I know it's not that simple, but it's just something that comes to mind.
I agree. Yeah, we criticized it really, or I did at least, Kratz, right? At the start of the year, where I'm like, yo, I'm not trusting this for my 9th inning, but that's what it's going to look like here. Right, Kratz? I mean,
I thought it was just one of the pieces. I didn't think it was going to be the only piece, and it ended up being the only piece. I remember you saying it.
Yeah. Well, Jake, this was awesome. Great having you on here for the first time. Don't be a stranger. Everyone check out Jake's work, both on Twitter and part of Yahoo Sports. Appreciate you, man. And, have fun in that beautiful Yankee Stadium press box apartment of yours.
I am going to go watch the baseball game happening about 30 feet away on the other side of the store. Thank you, guys.
There it is. Thank you. Watch another Judge Homer for us. Appreciate you. Jake Mintz with us on FTBRB. All right, here we are. Cam, you picked a day to be on. I mean, Przinski's probably jealous because he's usually on Thursdays. So he's probably jealous. So here's the deal. We're going to get to the Perryman Nation news and how he's going to be extended with the Angels to keep running that front office after we do our locks. But before that, again, I'm going to sneak in some news that just came through. Robert Murray says sources the Dodgers have designated Jason Hayward for assignment. I wanted to get your thoughts. First off, he had a banger of a homer the other day in a win for the Dodgers, that 3-run homer and a 6-3 win in the middle of that Dodger Mariners series, the comeback win. And also, I know you have to perform, but he is a clubhouse glue guy. Even at the start of this year, Cam, they were like, who's going to be the front man in the clubhouse to sometimes take the extra questions from the Japanese media? Ohtani's here, the whole deal. And they were like, everyone pointing to Hayward. They're like, Hayward will handle it. He's the man. But looks like he's going to be gone.
Yeah, man. One thing I know about Jay Hay is he is one of the best human beings I've ever been around. I mean, talk about a glue guy. Talking about there is no stat for character. He is the definition of that, right? Well, he may not, bring in offensive production anymore at this age. Man, this dude is a guy who is accountable. He's a guy who is humble. He's the one that if there's a young guy that needs somebody to talk to, he's going to be that guy. You could say him and Kyle Schwarber, as far as a leadership role, are very similar when you talk about, how important they are to a clubhouse, to a team. So this is going to be interesting. It seems like all day we've been talking about, Scotty, low key, that maybe the best move you make sometime is the move that you don't make. So I'm interested to see how this shakes up when you talk about the dynamic of a clubhouse. Now, I don't think, it's going to really tear it up, but I think we'll get to see how influential Jason Hayward really was in that clubhouse, because one thing I know, playing alongside of him, knowing him for years, that is one of the best guys, and people love being around that guy.
Who is going to get him? Who's going to get Jason Hayward for all those things, for the clout that he'll have in that clubhouse, the clout that, he could pinch hit 3-run homer the other night. He's coming off the bench. He's right below a average league average hitter right now. He's going to still give you some defense. He's not going to step in and be your everyday guy, and that's okay. But to me, if I know how the waiver claims work, because Hector Neris, I think he went to the American League first because I thought it used to be. So who's going to claim him now? Who's going to get Jason Hayward?
Yeah, it was a roster crunch there.
I thought you were just kind of throwing Neris out there at Houston Astros.
Let's run through some locks right now. Yesterday was incredible, and I know there were a couple people that were like, I parlayed all those picks together. Well, you had a day. Kratz hit, AJ hit. They both had parlays. I went with a simple money line play with the Phillies, a little sweaty bet, but it happened. So let's zip right to the next round here as we look at where everyone's at. Having a year. Cam, again, small sample size, get back on track. But Cam, you want to start this off? You got something for us?
Buddy. I know I'm going to take 100. I'm going to take a little C-note out of my pocket. And come on, baby. I know it looked like the Rays were in shambles a little bit, right? A little bit of riff going on. Give me the Rays money line and give me the O's money line. Corbin Burns at home has been phenomenal. I need to get a little bit of money back. There you go.
I love
Kratz
that.
Follow.
Love that. Yeah, I'm going to go the Angels-Blue Jays game. I'm going over 7.5 runs. I think the line was at 8.5. I'm taking a little bit under that, but I'm going over 7.5, and I bought down the Astros-Orioles game too. I know Corbin Burns is gone. Eric Getty's had a few with a little extra runs there, but I'm picking against the Orioles bullpen, and I'm picking against the Blue Jays have scored quite a few runs. So both of those games, we're going over 7.5, and that comes out to plus 157.
Nice. There you go. See, for me, I might get some haters because this is steep. Minus 140 is about highest I'll go, but I feel like I had to go Lodolo. I'm not, I was thinking about, but you can't do it right now, buying up or buying down on K's there in the app. So I just kept it at the 5.5 for Lodolo to bounce back. He had a brutal start against KC with a couple strikeouts, but Pirates are a top 5 swing and miss team on offense. That's good for your K props. Lodolo punched out 8 Pirates in his start against them in June. And before this little tough stretch he had in back-to-back starts with lower Ks, he was 6.5 Ks per outing over, I think, a 4 or 5 game stretch when I was doing some math. And I mean, he's got swing and miss stuff. I don't think the stuff is down. I think he just got lit up, and he's one of those guys where I think he makes the quick adjustment, he rebounds, and he takes down a lineup that I think is, one that will have trouble handling his arsenal. So we'll see what happens. Good luck on your bets tonight. And a reminder for everyone, if you're not part of the BetMGM app, here's how you can get involved and get a little something extra when you start. When you use the bonus code FOUL, download the app, deposit at least $10 into your new BetMGM Sportsbook account, and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. And if that happens, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Still a lot to get to, including the Angels front office news. Next. All right, FT fam, I just want to continue the Hayward news for a moment because we were running out of time. So he was making $9 million this year as his contract. So Bob Nightingale says he doesn't think he'll get claimed on waivers, so that'll make him a free agent. He can sign wherever. Mike Petriello had a great tweet saying the mid-NLDS speech that Hayward's going to give for the, let's say, Atlanta Braves before they bounce the Dodgers out of the playoffs is going to be something. And then lastly, on the business side of this, so Alden Gonzalez, who does a great job covering the sport for ESPN, said they faced a difficult roster move with Chris Taylor expected to be activated off the IL on Friday. And in the end, they chose Kevin Kiermaier over Jason Hayward as their left-handed bat off the bench. So you go with probably, a little bit more glove than D, even though obviously both can do so in a good way. They had to make that move, and that's where they decide to go.
Chris Taylor over Jason Hayward?
That's the one where Dodger fans are going to complain.
Thank you, because I just heard the same. Me and Kratzy heard the same thing. We didn't hear Kiermaier over Jason Hayward. We just heard Chris Taylor over Jason Hayward. And
they're not giving up on him. They have made I know they've made a very strong decision that despite the massive struggles, Chris Taylor is going to be a part of the 2024 Los Angeles Dodgers.
He'll probably be on the playoff roster.
So that's the move.
You that's surprised? All I gotta say.
Yeah.
Cam's my emoji.
Right. I don't know. Head scratcher there, man.
Well, I'm excited for Dodgers territory today.
I want to hear. I want to hear fans. I want to hear from fans, Dodger fans, to see what they think. Is this the right move? Don't sit there and go, oh, should have been Kiermaier over Hayward. No, I don't think. I know it's left, and how the roster's constructed.
And 2 outfielders versus a guy who can play anywhere.
I want to know what they think, Taylor or Hayward.
Good call.
I'm with Kratzy. I'm all day on that, Kratzy.
Mm-hmm. All right, coming back in like 30 seconds to Slap, but we'll spend some time on the Perryman Nation news with the Angels. All right, here we go. Let's spend some time on the Angels making a little announcement or news coming out that Perry Minasian, who's running the front office, is going to sign an extension. We don't have the years. It doesn't really matter for this conversation. It was, is he going to be back or not? Because he was in the rare lame duck status as a pending free agent. We spoke to Jake Mintz during this show about Perry, and he said he thought he was going to move on. He almost made it like it was potentially going to be a Perry thing, but there's Jeff Fletcher from the Orange County Register. The Angels have reached an agreement on an extension for GM Perry Minasian. So, Kratz, what do you think about Perry staying on board for an Angels team that certainly has some pieces that they're starting to build around? Zach Neto, stud at shortstop. Christian Moore looking like he's blazing through the minor leagues and is going to be the next guy that gets called up in 5 seconds for this team. I mean, Logan O'Hoppe, that looked like a trade that's worked out for both sides, and he's a really great part of that core. I mean, he's one of the better catchers in the league right now, underrated. We bring him on the show a lot, but where do you think the Angels are at? And was this the correct move? I'm going to make this a unique question, not just for the Angels, but was this the correct move for Perry? Because it's a very difficult job, top 3 most difficult jobs in baseball at the GM position, because you have to deal with Artie Moreno helicopter dadding.
I hope it's a good move for him, and I hope when he signed this extension, Perry said it with his chest, the things that he wanted. You can't go in as a GM and be like, I want all the money in the world. Artie, get out of my way. You know, you're doing too much. But if there's somebody that has some clout, somebody that watched and learned under one of the best GMs we have right now in Alex Anthopoulos, and he's come up through the game, he's seen what worked and didn't work with the Blue Jays, he saw what worked and didn't work with the Braves, I hope he asked for some caveats with owner Artie Moreno. I hope he asked for a little bit more leeway to make the moves and to put the personnel in places to make decisions. He brought in Ron Washington. When you're losing team, you might lack some communication continuity. He's trying that route. He knows Ron from Atlanta. So I see a little bit of Perry's fingerprint on this team. And if he re-signed because he's going to be allowed to have a little bit more leeway, which I know, Scott, you'll bristle at that because you don't think Artie will ever give leeway. But that is the only reason I think it's a good move for Perry to come back, because he's built some clout up with Artie, and hopefully he gives him a little bit more of a runway to build the team the way he wants to build it.
That was very beautifully spoken, my friend. And I honestly could not agree with Kratzy more. I know we haven't done a lot of agreeing today, but I think he is spot on. I think Perry's fingerprint is all over this team. And I think you also have to give Perry a little bit of leeway to understand that what he came into was an organization that was, from a minor league standpoint, in shambles. When you talk about developing, they have not had one of the better minor league organizations for years. So even trying to get the right guys in, as far as drafting the right guys, he's done a very good job of doing that. They have become extremely competitive. They have now a guy at the managerial helm that players want to play for, that they believe in. You look at how Zach Neto has taken off with Ryan Washington, being at the managerial helm this year. Erik Young Jr., he's brought in some really nice pieces to get this team back close to in winning form as they can right now with what he does have at his disposal from a minor league standpoint. So I agree with Kratzy. I think this is a good deal for him, especially if he does have any type of leeway to make a few more moves that he wants to make this team a little bit more competitive. And I think what he's done is he set himself up to possibly go in there and say it with his chest, like Kratzy said, hey, look, this is where we came from. Mike Trout has been hurt. We lost Shohei Ohtani, and this is what we've been able to do with what you've really allowed me to do. So give me a little bit more, and I can continue to help build this thing the way you want to go. So I think we're seeing that, and I think this is good for him if he's able to make a few more moves, on his own.
Here's my thing: the Angels are lucky to have Perry. I feel that way strongly. Why? How many front office leaders would be okay with lame duck status? Almost none of them. You want to see an example of how some front office leaders take a stand these days? the Boston Red Sox asked 1 million people to interview for their job and got a ton of no's. Craig Breslow has done a great job so far with Boston being competitive this year, given the resources that was laid out for him. But there were a ton of no's because there are certain either former GMs or high-level front office leaders that feel like some positions are coveted and some positions are very challenging. The Angels is one of those jobs where it is incredibly challenging. It is, like I said, top 3 most difficult position in baseball because of who you have to answer to in Artie Moreno, right? He can wake up one day and say, it's my damn team, I'm doing this, and there's nothing you can do about that. So what do you need? You need a GM who is flexible and tolerant. Tolerance is key here. And some GMs would not be tolerant to get a phone call like that. And some in Perry's place, I think, Cam, would just say, Uncle, I'm good. I'm leaving here, right? We didn't accomplish much during my time period. I don't want it to hurt my reputation that I can't get the job done. Because for fans, they don't totally understand. Some do, many do, that Artie Moreno has the ultimate say. But some fans are like, how does Perry come back, right? Where's this team at? So I'll give them credit for recognizing that he appears to be the right man to put up with that.
You're right. And then just too, I go with Staff. You just talked about his patience, right? Think about the guys that he brought in. He brought in guys that can lead, but they also can develop. And I think that's what Perry has done a really good job of. And like you said, sometimes it goes unseen because of, his boss, but he has done a great job. And you said it. I think you said it perfectly. The Angels are lucky to have Perry, 100%.
There you go. All right, good show today. Thanks, fam.
Happy birthday, man.
Thank you. You gave me some news for my birthday. I mean, it's not the, rosiest news out there, but that's where we shine. We'll give it to you straight.
Scott Braun loves breaking news.
I do love me some breaking news and just saying whatever we want about it. I love getting the perspective from you two on this. So thanks, FT fam. We got a big Friday too, big guest, okay? Stick around to hear about it if you're on YouTube right now. Thank you, FT fam. Been checking out the comments as much as possible. It's been a busy day with all the breaking news. Trying to just to give everyone a little peek behind the curtain. We are doing our show, doing interviews, also seeing the news. You try to get as much perspective from that news, right? You're almost like kind of glancing through Ken Rosenthal's article, say on the Scott Service News, and then trying to deliver that instantly. So just to give you a little peek. It's not hard. It's fun. We appreciate it. But thank you, everyone, for the birthday wishes as well. And I did want to point this out for the FT fam. First off, please subscribe to the channel if you're here right now, or also go to the podcast page for FT and give us a little rating and review, especially on Apple Podcasts. If you can just write, hey, I love the show, and here's a guest request. That'd be cool. But also, I want to finish with this. Kratz, would you like to tell the world who's coming on the show tomorrow, which has been set up already, but now is very timely?
The old offensive coordinator for the Seattle Mariners, Brant Brown.
Interesting. That would be a good conversation.
We didn't plan it this way. He was coming on. He's super juiced about coming on. He's excited. He texts me. He goes, I got a little bit of time on my hands.
True. So we'll hear what was going on during his time period with the Mariners, which was short, and we'll find out what was part of the problem there this season with the offense. Because I will say this, Cam, I mean, they didn't put themselves in the best position to succeed based on their offseason, but did anyone see them being a bottom 3 offense in baseball and just strikeout machines? They purposely got rid of power to try and enhance contact, and yet they are worse than ever with swing and miss. Some of it's the ballpark, we get it, but not all of it, because you tell me, I mean, even if guys are struggling with components of the ballpark at home, does that mean that it carries on the road to places where it is favorable to hit the baseball?
Once again, who's down there? Who's the hitting coach? What's the philosophy? What do guys do well? I think it's a lot bigger than just the ballpark, right? These guys are big leaguers, but they also need instruction. And some of these guys are young. This is a young man's game now, right? It ain't a lot of veterans around like when Kratz and myself came up. So these young guys still are learning the game. They still need that welcoming voice in their ear to help get them back on track. And I don't feel like the Seattle Mariners have done a great job of that.
Yep, good call. Really good show. Dodgers territory coming up next. They have a lot to get to. The Dodgers have just a roster construction soap opera. It's a good problem to have because they have so many good players right now. But Clint and Alana are taking over, so stay here if you want to hear their takes right from the jump. And we will see everyone on Friday.